Hey guys, just a quick message before we start today's episode. On behalf of Lanceroy and Retro Reloaded, we want to give a huge thank you to the incredible Patreon supporters who help keep the show alive and growing. A special shout out to our 64-bit legend, Zero, for your continued top-tier support. Thank you as well to our 16-bit adventurers, Tetrafoli, Marcus Q, and Sankar. And to our 8-bit explorers, Big Nick Dika, Werecoon Warden, yours truly, Wabiert, and Gaming Quarterly. Your support means the world to us, and especially Lance, and it's because of you that Retro Reloaded can continue celebrating gaming history, deep dives, and great conversations. We truly couldn't do this without you. And with that said, it's time to press start and jump into today's episode.
Hey there! Welcome to Retro Reloaded. I'm your host Lance, and each week I tackle a retro game shaped by your picks. If you want a chance to choose next week's game or unlock exclusive bonus episodes and polls, join me on Patreon at patreon.com/retroreloaded. There's even a free tier to dip your toes in. Big thanks for all of your love and support. It means the world to me. Now let's hit the start button and reload those retro vibes.
They sent me back to the jungle, but this time, everything looked different. I first stepped into Soviet territory in 1964, back when the mission was called Operation Snake Eater. That story was originally told in 2004, when Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater launched on the PlayStation 2, redefining stealth gameplay with camouflage systems, survival mechanics, and a Cold War-era narrative that shaped who I'd eventually become. 2 decades later, Konami rebuilt that mission as Metal Gear Solid Delta, a modern remake developed using Unreal Engine 5, aiming to preserve the soul of the original while updating visuals, control, and presentation for a new generation. Rather than rewriting history, Delta retells the same operation, same jungle, same enemies, same betrayals. But with modern fidelity, updated animations, reworked controls, and optional legacy filters to keep the original tone intact. This isn't a reboot, it's a return. A second walk through the mission that forged Big Boss, the man, the myth, and eventually, the legend. They called me Nick and Snake back then, before the title, before the scars. I was sent to the Soviet Union under Operation Virtuous Mission, tasked with rescuing scientist Nikolai Sokolov. That mission failed the moment the boss, my mentor, defected and killed my unit before my eyes. A week later, I was sent back, Operation Snake Eater. My objective: stop Colonel Volgin, prevent nuclear war, and eliminate the boss. Along the way, I faced the Krobo unit, masters of emotion-driven warfare, survived brutal jungle combat, and uncovered the truth behind Cold War politics, loyalty, and sacrifice. What the mission demanded wasn't just survival. It demanded that I killed the person who made me who I was. When the mission ended, the world called me Big Boss. But I knew the truth. Heroes are manufactured, and legends are built on lies.
All right, guys, with all that out of the way, we have a guest for our Metal Gear Solid Delta episode. He goes by the name Dank. Thank you, Dank, for coming on to the show and being the guest speaker for today.
No problem. Lovely. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So where did we met on Reddit. Was it Reddit that we
Yeah, it was Reddit.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to think of like where we were like, met, because I kind of reach out to people on different platforms. So we met on Reddit, and it was a Metal Gear Solid post, and I believe the post was about me comparing and contrast, or asking people like, did you like, Delta with the new atmosphere and the new stuff? And surprisingly, there was a lot of people who kind of didn't like it, but there was also a lot of people who liked it. But I think we'll kind of go into that in a little bit and read the reasons why. I want to kind of started with, with your experience with the game. Like, how did you get into the series?
So, this is kind of crazy because I started with the end. So I started with Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. And the reason I got the game was I knew a little bit about the series from like various kind of videos that I'd seen listing like fun facts about it. But the reason I got into it was because I saw haha funny cardboard box. Like I genuinely saw the game and I saw, okay, you can do this with the cardboard box. You can kind of interact with the game world in a way that's very interesting. So to me, it was like the gameplay that kind of hooked me. And then I thought that like 5 did such a really interesting and brilliant kind of job of having the story be told sort of through gameplay. So as opposed to like when you look at like earlier versions of the game, they sort of pause the gameplay to give you the story. What I thought that was really interesting about it was that it's like, oh wow, like all these things, all the story is just on these cassette tapes, and you're expected to kind of just do side content while listening to them, or you can just sit and listen to them. And I found it like really interesting, and I found the kind of like, yeah, the mixture between real history and kind of like espionage kind of drama and weird sci-fi and odd like paranormal stuff just to be so interesting. And then I was like, okay, well I have to play the rest of this now because like I need to know what the fuck just happened. Like I need to understand the entire series because like when you start with 5, it's the most like convoluted and confusing story out of all of them. And you have to like know the entire story to be able to actually understand and fit the pieces together. So yeah, it was with 5 and then I played Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PlayStation 2. That was my next game in the series, which I find to be like quite funny because they're the two games that are narratively the most similar in the respect that they tie to like identity and the player playing the role in shaping Snake or the idea of what Snake is, not like the character, but like the like moniker, the actual code name itself in the series. So yeah, it's a weird one. And then I went through all of them, and I have to say 3 is my favorite out of all of them because I think it's the most, it does like the best things. It does the best out of all things in the series. It has the best boss fights. It has the best gameplay mechanics in terms of like innovation. It has like very cool details that like the player feels like you can really have an impact on the world, and it doesn't just feel like the solution is okay, shoot bad guy in head or just avoid bad guy. I love the fact that it's just this flexible kind of fluid system where also if you've played the game before, it's not a boring game to replay because you can kind of go, okay, well this run I'm only going to do this and that. Or I'm going to interact with this in this way, or I'm going to make sure that I collect this object so that I have it for the boss later on. Stuff like that, which I think is just phenomenal. And it's just got some of the most like tight game design out of all of them, I think. And level design. The level design is fantastic as well. Yeah. But yeah,
I agree. I think Metal Gear Solid 3 was most deliberate in its execution. I feel like with the other entries into the series, they kind of go off onto these random like storylines and these random like ideas. I think, and part of that is because just for people to clarify for people, part of that is because Metal Gear Solid 3 is the prequel to pretty much everything. I don't know if there's anything that like any game that comes before it is right as far as storyline.
No, it's all. Yeah, it's the origin of the story. Yeah.
It's the origin of the story, so I think it was kind of maybe easier for them to kind of do that. Like, this is where everything started. There's no really weird branching paths yet, aside from maybe you could say Ocelot is still, he's in the story, so, he still has some weird side things going on. But, it's a prequel in the sense that it starts everything. And it starts with Big Boss's story. If you've played the game, you know that Big Boss is kind of the crux of the whole series. Everything starts with him. And just for clarification, maybe I should have said it in the beginning of the episode, Metal Gear Solid Delta is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. So we're playing that same story, and it's pretty similar experience, in my opinion, than the original. They tried to remain faithful to the series. I know some people have different opinions on that, but they really tried to just basically make the same game with updated graphics and some updated controls. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's a faithful remake? Do you feel like it went off the rails, or how do you feel?
I'm going to say the most controversial thing that any fan of the series will hear. I think it was too faithful in aspects, and they played it a little too safe in some points. So the story, from my knowledge and from what I remember, is relatively unchanged. I don't think they changed anything particularly about it. They might have removed some funny words or changed some dialogue to make it less offensive for modern audiences. I'm not sure about that though. Because when you start it up, they give you a little warning about this is reflecting 60s attitudes, because we can't just make a story set in the 60s anymore and just have it be okay guys, this is the 60s, people acted like this.
Trigger warnings,
because they like to exactly that kind of thing, right? Which is fair enough at the same time, because they're making it for modern audiences. But so certain aspects, this is the weirdest thing ever. So I saw someone comment on the movement, how he moves. It's clear that they took the animations from the Phantom Pain and kind of put them into MGS3 to slow it down, and slowed it down. So the walking animation is slower than in 5, but it's the same one. And I thought that was one of the best things that they changed, was the animation for the walking, because when you play the original, or if you play the HD collection, he kind of has this weird bunny run, or sneaky rat run, which some people might like as well. But whenever I was playing the game, I always used to think to myself, God, this guy runs so funny. He runs so goofy, and when he walks like a stealthy guy, and it makes sense and it looks normal. But when he does the normal running speed, he looks so goofy, and it was so weird to me. And it would take me out of the gameplay all the time. And then you play Peace Walker, or any of the other ones, and they run normal, and it's something about how Big Boss runs, and I guess it's the CQC stance, they're meant to reflect that it's this kind of weird unique combat style or movement style that he's got. But I found that so odd. And then so the other than that, I think the gameplay was brilliantly ported over, and I'd say maybe the bosses were a little too easy, which I think is fair criticism that I've seen online. So the fear becomes a cakewalk. He's just a walk in the park now, and it used to be slightly harder, because you had worse aiming controls. Now you can aim and move at the same time, which kind of makes his boss a little bit more redundant. So they could have changed it so that you can only aim and then not move. But yeah, so I think that was that was the only one that stuck out to me as something that was poorly done. I thought the camouflage system worked better in this one, actually. So switching was not only faster, and so it didn't pause the gameplay, which I found a little bit tedious at times when replaying them. But the actual when I played the end boss fight, he actually was way more hidden than in the original. In the original, he was a lot easier to see, and to kind of find his little bald head, because the graphics were just less detailed. So the jungle was amazing because of that, right? So the graphics fantastic, a massive upgrade. But the only thing I wanted them to do, and what I was expecting them to do, was to actually add side ops, so little side missions or further gameplay, which I think I know this is a different series and it's probably off topic, but Resident Evil, the remakes have done a good job of adding things like mercenaries mode and stuff like that, where you get the gameplay that's so fun and has been changed and made to be really streamlined and really fluid, added on, so you can just go and quickly pick up and put down the game, which I thought would have been nice for them to add. I know they added Fox Hunt, but that died within a week, and it was desperately depressing how fast it died, and they shouldn't have added it so late. They should have waited it to finish it before they actually published the game, and sold it.
I agree.
Which I think it's the biggest loss, because it was it was super fun. I with that week to 2 weeks that it was out, was really fun to play, even though it would take a little bit of time to get a match, and then them not making it crossplay as well. It's like they did everything wrong. But I think that like when you look at the stuff they did with the actual just single player, to me, I get people being a little upset maybe at like design things being lost, but realistically it's it's a remake with very, very hyper realistic graphics, so at the end of the day they're going to lose certain things to style, but I thought that they kept really closely to the original style and the design. I thought aspects of it were really I thought the whole thing was really well done actually, and it was lovely to revisit the game and the series, and they kept everything, like all the level design they didn't change, which I thought was fantastic, because like there's the gator hat, right, which is like the little alligator hat, and I was like, oh, I know this section, this is where I get the alligator hat, and I have to drop onto this rope like this, and it's coming back and it's like, oh wow, it's like I played this, like I played the game originally like 6 years before Delta or something, maybe 7. And so for me, it was like, oh wow, this is like coming back to when I was like just about turning it into an adult. So it was like, for me, it was like revisiting like that teenage period of my life where like this game like changed my life. Like to me, it changed like a lot of aspects of my life, in terms of like politics and like awareness of just like of just everything, like awareness of the world, awareness of the fact that like I think the message of the series, right, at least in the third one, is just like that your enemies change on day-to-day basis, and that a nation is only like your ally depending on the times, and the people that are in charge, and what the politics they're going for and what they're trying to win their goals essentially. And I think like that aspect is like it's completely unchanged in the series and the story. And you know, it's funny because it's like the post that you made, for instance, people were talking about the ending, how the graveyard scene was like in the original it was like blinding light in the background, and that apparently was a glitch. And I argued with this person. I said, well, it's a glitch, but like they left that glitch in because they probably went, this looks hard as fuck. Like this looks so nice, and works so well, with the aspect of like just having the actual, lighting like blind him in the background, as if it's like all his good days are behind him and it's only darkness in front of him now, and they probably left that in because that. But again, it's like the English teacher reading into his book, being like, oh, the curtains are blue because he's depressed, and it's like, no, the curtains are blue because the designer picked them to be right. But I do think I do think they care. Yeah, I think they have that aspect.
Yeah, I think they really did try to make it atmospherically the same. You know, that was mostly people's biggest complaint. They lost the atmosphere. You know, some of the shadowing's different and stuff like that. Well, yeah, you're right. It's going to happen when the game is made to be more hyper realistic and more, look like it's a real people. You know, and interacting in a real environment. You know, the original was on PS2, so the graphics were obviously much less, and they kind of had this weird like a yellow filter on everything to kind of signify that I guess it was in the jungle or whatever. Like you're in the jungle, and I don't know why they chose it, but it's to signify that it's like, it always looks like it's like sunset or something. It looks like it's like sunset the entire game.
Does, yeah.
But in the Delta, they do allow you to kind of turn that legacy filter back on if you want to, which is really cool. Obviously, I didn't do it because I don't really care for it that much, but I understand why people do. You know, it's like they want it to be. It's like, I'm not really sure what they want, because they want it to be the same game but updated. But it's so nitpicky, in my opinion. Like
it is,
and it pretty much is the same game. You know, it's like
it's 1-to-1 from what I played, like originally. The only difference to me is the aiming, and the controls are a bit more streamlined. Because to me, the core aspects of the game remain unchanged. And the way you can spin him in the health section to make him throw up. All the little details are still there, which to me are like the most. and it sounds bizarre, but it's like, to me, that's like the core of the series is the design that Kojima and his team did. Because it's not just Kojima. That's an important detail to put in there. It's it's the whole team that worked on it that made the game.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that they wanted to make something where it's like, okay, well, if a person thinks they can do this, they can. Or it brings the atmosphere, it brings the immersion in. Like in the very first Metal Gear Solid, you catch a cold after you're tortured because you're shirtless, and then if you don't cure your cold with cold medicine, you sneeze all the time and it alerts enemies. And it's a complete hindrance if you don't think to yourself, oh well, I have cold medicine, I should take that. Or if you don't find it, right? And it rewards sort of player exploration, it rewards player interactivity, it rewards it rewards like thinking about how it would work really in reality, which it's so odd because it's also a series where it's like there's massive like robots that like can launch nuclear weapons at any point in the world and have big guns and all sorts, and it's really out there. But weirdly enough, it's got some of the most realistic details in any game ever. And like for instance, one of the things they added that I have to say is a really cool addition is the scar system. So the fact that when you get shot, it will show that scar on Snake's body throughout the entire game, and he'll have this scar. Essentially, that will just like show that the player got hurt in this way, and it kind of rewards like complete stealth runs, perfect stealth runs. It rewards like not taking damage for the bosses. So it's like, that you can have it adds that extra thing of like a player can then go, okay, well, I want to challenge myself to not get any scars, except for the ones that are given to me like in like key story events that are unchangeable, like when the boss like throws you off the bridge. But then I did see a valid point for the scar system where he has that weird scar on his face now, or that weird bruise kind of thing on his face. And I do have to say, because I thought it was from when he when the boss punches him in the face or like grabs him with the and throws him off the bridge, but he has it before that. So it's a weird. That one's a really weird kind of choice to kind of do as a design. Maybe they were thinking it makes him look a bit more badass, but like to me, it would have been better if they'd have added it after the bridge fight to signify like kind of the physical pain that he's in as well as the mental pain of losing the boss, right? Like that it's like she's betrayed him and he's now like it's different Snake. It's like you've got the virtuous mission Snake who's like happy a little bit, kind of smiled a little bit more goofy, and then afterwards it's like, nah, this is serious stuff, I'm in my emo phase, don't come in, mum. He changes a lot based off that.
Honestly, you were talking about all the scars he gets and stuff. It just reminds me how much punishment Snake takes in this game, like how much he gets abused and beaten and tortured. Dude, I don't know how any living human being could ever. I mean, obviously it's a video game, but like this guy takes on a lot of things that would have killed any normal person. But obviously, Big Boss is he's a unique specimen. He's built different, and I don't know if they ever explain it in the series, like why he's so I don't know, crazy his endurance, and it just why he's such a fierce warrior. They don't really explain. I don't think his origins, like before that mission, like why he's so I don't know, strong.
I think the justification, unironically, is, or it's implied slightly that it's because he was there during the Bikini Atoll testing, and so he's like radioactively like altered. Because the whole point is that like he's infertile, which is why they do the Les Enfants Terribles project where they clone him. Because he's infertile because of the nuclear radiation. But yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you've played Peace Walker, but in Peace Walker, he like physically stops. He catches not only Peace Walker's foot, but he catches also, I think it's Cocoon or Chrysalis. I think it's Chrysalis, but it's this massive tank essentially, and he lifts it. He catches it, tries to crush him, and he catches it with his arms, and he throws it up. So he's literally he's got this super soldier strength. And in 5, which is funny because it's well, spoiler alert, it's a different snake. He's the only one that's able to stop quiet when it's like explained that like she's just got this enhanced strength. So maybe it's just actually just being called Snake makes you different. When you get the code name, you just become like an absolute beast mode man. Like yeah, because even Raiden gets called Snake, and then he goes on to like take out like 20 Metal Gears that are supposed to kill Rex. And it's like he literally does like 20 times what Solid Snake did, and he's not even like blood related, and he's like this other Snake, but it's just he got called Snake at the start of the mission. They went, your code name's Solid Snake, and they went, well actually it's Raiden. He went, all right, fair enough. And then just
fair enough with Raiden's story. Like it kind of makes sense why he's as cool as he is, as far as competitively cool as he is. Like it makes sense if you play MGS2 and you kind of get that backstory, you'll know why Raiden is
real
capable. Big Boss, I guess, makes more sense now because it sounds like he wasn't cloned in the same way that Solid Snake was, but it had that super soldier kind of upbringing that Solid Snake does. Yeah. But he does to some degree. He does have his own backstory that makes him superhuman in a way.
He joined like the Green Berets as well. Like at 16, I think he joined the army for like Vietnam. No, sorry, not Vietnam. It would be Korea. I think it was, but yeah, he's kind of, I've seen a meme a long time ago, which was like the Chad, like the Chad Big Boss versus the Virgin Solid Snake, and it was like one of the points was that like Solid Snake got like born into the military and kind of got forced into it, whereas Big Boss like chose to be and chose to pursue this like lifestyle and like wanted to be a soldier. And I think it's a kind of a silly point, but it's an interesting character difference where like because Solid Snake often remarks that he never chose this, and it's like just kind of he was born into it, which covers like the genes element of the story. Because it's the genes, the memes, and the times that are like Kojima's sort of main like argument for the story and delves into those are like the philosophical aspects of it, which is part of the reason why I like the series, by the way. It's like it's the fact that like you'll suddenly be like naked running around like doing cartwheels, and then suddenly it will like break the fourth wall and hit you with like deep existential sort of dread. And you'll be like, okay, wow, the game's literally telling me you're playing a game and to turn it off, and it's like, what does this mean? Why did they go for that? Like, what is this kind of aspect? Am I Raiden? Is Raiden me? Is Raiden actually his own person? I'm watching a fake person do this whole kind of stuff, but like to me he's real, and to him he's real, but he's not. And it kind of gets you into this weird like element of thinking all the time when you least expect it as well. And it hits you with just these complete curveballs where you're just like suddenly being thrust into actual philosophical ideas. Like in the first one, it's all about
all the
genes
time
versus memes, and it's constant. Yeah, it's constant. I think it's fantastic. And it's clear that like the writers and Kojima, right, are very learned people. They've studied a lot and looked into a lot of theories about man, about culture, about all sorts, right? And that's what makes it so cool. Yeah, history as well. Yeah. And like, I think an important thing to mention is also that they're Japanese. So like his whole anti-nuclear like take on the series is very interesting to see, because it's not instead of going like, look how sad it is to be nuked, like feel bad for us. It's more like, look at how it's changed the wider world. Like he's one of the kind of only people in Japan that I would say has kind of taken the trauma that they have and turned it into more of like it's a global trauma. It's not just ours. Like it's more important to look at how it's impacted the entire world as opposed to just Japan.
Not only that, but he gives a pretty nuanced position. He's not always just like, nuke's bad, but it's like, okay, nuke's bad, but also there's this. Like it kind of dives into. He tries to give a nuanced position to pretty much everything. He doesn't seem to like to take a hard stance on anything, because I think he wants it to leave up to the player to kind of have some thought-provoking moments where it's like, oh, is this a bad thing? Is this a good thing? Like, what is this, idea? Like, is what, and you kind of, as you play the series, you'll get more and more of that, and you might lean one way or another, but a lot of it is a lot of nuanced, and you kind of understand maybe even where the bad guys are coming from. Sometimes you're like, okay.
Oh yeah.
And they say that a lot. Like, I think Big Boss and Solid Snake, it's like, we're not the good guys, we're just on a side. That just happened. It's like, it's very interesting. So
yeah. And it's like the series is anti-war, but makes and what I think is the funniest thing about it, so it's anti-war and it gives you all these guns, but it always gives you an option not to kill anyone, and not to do it, except for the first one. The first one you do have to, like, there's no way to do it all non-lethally. But then he realized from 2, he was like, I need to like hammer this home way more, that it's not about like the violence of the games is like, doesn't always have to be violence for death. It can be violence to like stop someone from killing you, and self-defense, but in a way that's like, a bit more nuanced, because it's, I mean, if you play like the first game 5 that I played, sorry, not the first game, but the first game I played was 5, right? And the whole gameplay cycle encourages you not to kill a single person and just to kidnap them all. And I remember thinking, this is the most goofy thing ever. This is like ridiculous, but it's so enjoyable, and it's so much more fun to kind of like scan people and be like, okay, this guy's good. And you get that experience of like being a sniper, where you're watching these people and like analyzing them and figuring out like what they're good at and what they're bad at. And then you go in and you like go and capture them because you want that guy, and then maybe like the game sort of encourages you to just either take everyone or leave a few people alive, or just kill the ones that you don't take, essentially, right? Just to get rid of.
Right.
But you also obviously just no worries,
sorry, out of curiosity, was that one of Kojima's last games, was 5, or which one was like the last game he worked on?
That was the last one he worked on, yeah. Because then the last game in the series they published after that, there was only one, which was Survive, which I think is best to not talk about. It's like, it was tragic. It was the first Metal Gear Solid that I'd become a fan of the series, and it released, and it was the first time I was actually gonna like have a new Metal Gear game, and I remember like feeling overwhelmingly depressed. At it did none of the stuff well, unfortunately, but it happens.
Kojima, just for clarification for people, Kojima had a falling out with Konami at a certain point, and so he actually wasn't directly involved with Delta as far as I know. But the original Metal Gear Solid 3 was Kojima. He was the one who's involved with that. So, it's that maybe that's why they didn't. Partly why they didn't want to change anything is because they knew that people revered Kojima, and I know that's partly of the reason that people don't want to play this game is because there was no Kojima involvement. Like, they're just Kojima they're just fans of Kojima. Like, they're like, if he's not involved, I don't want to play it. But I think like eventually the torch has to be passed to somebody anyways, even if there wasn't that falling out, like eventually someone else, if they want to continue the series, has to take on the torch. Maybe they don't, maybe they don't continue the series, but I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess you kind of wrapped up Solid Snake's story, and you wrapped up pretty much everyone's story, so I guess there's no need for it. But it's just kind of an interesting thought there. I'm not like, if Konami makes a Metal Gear Solid game or a remake, I'm not going to play it just because Kojima wasn't involved.
Yeah,
like if it's a good game, it's a good game. Like, that's kind of my opinion. I don't really care who was involved. I just want it to be a good game, in my opinion. So,
well, I think the most interesting thing about the series is he was done by Metal Gear Solid. He didn't want to continue making the games at Metal Gear Solid. So when he first got it on the PS1 and he finished it, he was like, okay, I'm done with the series. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And then they were like, Metal Gear Solid 2, and he's like, fine. And then it was Metal Gear Solid 3 and then 4, and they kept dragging him back, right? Which is why when you play 4, if you can get a PS3 and actually get to play it, it's ridiculously difficult to get to. And they're going to remaster that next, I think, is their plan.
I hope so.
I hope so as well, yeah. But that whole story is about him being jaded and old and tired, and so he tried to wrap up the entire story because he is jaded and old and tired. And it's funny because the whole time he was low-key, he's someone that doesn't care if someone makes a Metal Gear Solid game. He actually would like that, I think. I think he'd like the right person to make it, but he's someone that genuinely doesn't think, like, he has this philosophy of, like, I should be passing the torch on to someone else to make this because someone else has takes that I won't have. Like, that's what I think is very cool about him as a video game director, is that he's very open to ideas and has a lot of them, but without his team, without the input of other people, the games would be very different, I think, and wouldn't be as good as they are. And I think a lot of people like to idolize him because his name's on everything, and it's everywhere, and that's understandable, but like they're forgetting the fact that like for instance, the art style is that's Yoji Shinkawa, who does all the design and all the drawings and all the concept art. And actually, like for instance, Sniper Wolf, some of people's favorite character, was drawn by him. And the backstory was come up by Kojima, so it was like that she'd be like a Kurd fighting in the Civil War. I think I can't really remember, but essentially the design is like she's like a blonde white woman. She's not like Middle Eastern looking, right? And like some people have even criticized this series as racist, and they forget the fact that it's like, yeah, but the designer designed this. He drew someone that just looks cool based off what he was thinking of at the time. Yeah. He didn't necessarily draw characters based off backstory and based off all the information, because they're a team of people. So
why are they racist?
Really,
I mean, they're all Japanese people. It's kind of an interesting take that they're racist. Like, are they in favor? Like, you would have to say like they're white nationalist Japanese people, which doesn't make any sense. So, you know, they just drew, probably like you said, they drew a character design that they thought looked cool. They thought was, you know, a lot of people find Sniper Wolf attractive as well.
Hell yeah.
You know, like, so somebody they thought was beautiful.
Part of the design. It was part of the design. Yeah, exactly. It was, the idea was to make a sexy sniper that's like both as beautiful as she is deadly, because it plays into the James Bond films, which again is a massive inspiration of the series, right? So it's a lot of the stuff that comes, a lot of the criticism that the series gets comes from people that don't understand it as well as people that kind of roll with the punches or accept it in certain ways. But yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, you know, I'll say it. Sometimes Metal Gear, like some of the stories do get a little like, you know, out there. You're like, okay, you know, is that really I don't know. Like, does that really make any sense? Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's fine. It's not always supposed to. It's kind of like this weird mix of fantasy and realism and history, and it's, you know, you got some really weird, powerful characters that are not very realistic, like Vamp in the second one, and like even the ones in here. You got a guy in Metal Gear Solid Delta in 3 that literally controls bees, like he's a bee controller, which is, you know, an interesting concept. But and there's also the Sorrow, like he doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, he's like he's like a ghost that has some sort of supernatural control over things, and he's still relevant to some degree, but he's also dead. So it's not, you know, people, I think they sometimes want it to be like more realistic, but these games were never meant to be that realistic. There's always some sort of fantasy-esque, like, you know, properties to it.
Yeah.
So and if you want to play something more realistic, go play Siphon Filter or something, or like a game that's meant to be that. I think first and foremost, Metal Gear Solid is storytelling over everything else. Like, I think that is the main thing it is. And then the gameplay's kind of secondary. Like, the gameplay's fun, but it's like, it's a story first. And it's kind of like a JRPG in that regard. But so I kind of wanted to ask you a couple of like, I guess, fun or discussion questions. And one of them is, if you could have any game remade next, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it would be 4, realistically. 4 it remade, or like just ported over. But like the issue with I find with remakes is that like you get very different results depending on what game you're remaking, right? So a lot of the games are very modern still. I went and played Metal Gear Solid 1 like a couple months ago, and like I was gobsmacked at how much it holds up. And this is like the original version, like PS1, not Twin Snakes.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, I was like blown away. I was like, I forgot, because I played it a long time ago. I forgot how much the gameplay holds up and how much the game holds up. So I think like it's a series that like overall for remaking, I guess it would look cool and like it can add certain things. But like for me, it's more, I'd say like certain aspects, like for me, they remake them in a good way, because they stay faithful and it's very well done, and the graphics look amazing. But I think they need to add more stuff when they remake them. That's my biggest thing. So I think the game that would need more stuff or would need to be a bit more streamlined would be Peace Walker, controversially enough, because it's a PSP game. And it was designed for the PSP, and I think as a result of that, a lot of things are missing that are kind of series staples. So like, being able to crawl on the ground like a snake, you can't do that in Peace Walker. You can only crouch walk.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think like, it's a very minor thing, but I think like that's a game that has like the least complex level design, the most simplistic level design out of all of them, and would benefit from a remake, but not necessarily like 1-to-1, but like from the ground up. Like, okay, now we're going to make all the areas be connected. We're going to make it that you can manage Mother Base on the iDroid, or on like a different kind of thing. That excuses, because I think the iDroid wouldn't be then. Whatever, doesn't matter. But yeah, to give certain like gameplay functionalities that's a bit more streamlined and less kind of loading screen and then loading screen and then loading screen, because that I think is one of the weakest points of Peace Walker, is the fact that like you're constantly sort of going to a mission select screen. And you can't play any of the cassette tapes in the missions. So like you basically go, like for me, I went on YouTube to watch all the cassette tapes, because I wanted to have it in the background to keep playing. I didn't want to just do it on my PSP. I did it a little bit on my PSP, but then I found it's like, okay, but like these are just like pictures with like sound. And they're not like the cutscenes that the series is so well known for, which is ironic as well, because they have some of my favorite cutscenes are in Peace Walker because of the fact that it's all hand drawn by Yoji Shinkawa.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Super stylized, and like it's like the movement in it is a lot more like an animated comic book, and so it looks way cooler in some respects. And then the audio tapes just kind of like, there are a lot of filler conversations and they're just a lot of silly dialogue, but they're very cool and they're fun to get. Like one of them explores the fact that Big Boss believes in Santa Claus, and he's like, and they're like, "What, you believe in Santa Claus? Are you real?" And he's like, "He used to bring me presents every year," and it's hilarious, like stuff like that really adds to the character, and it's got a lot of the goofy dialogue, and it adds this sort of like lovely kind of vibe to it. And like I started with 5, and if you play Peace Walker, or if you've played Peace Walker and you've played 5, you know that they're very similar in terms of like what the kind of goal is and what the gameplay is, because you're trying to build up this private army and lead these men. But 5 is so depressing compared to Peace Walker. Peace Walker has like the sense that you've got this lovely kind of base of people that are all vibing together, and it has this very cozy feeling. Like Mother Base it's why they speak of Mother Base so fondly in 5, because it's like genuinely like their home. Like they all feel so connected to it. And and in 5, obviously it's certain things have happened and it's no longer there, and now they're Diamond Dogs. And so they talk about how like it constantly harkens back to that, and it feels like they've all got this very sad, reminiscing kind of attitude for it, because it's so happy. And Peace Walker it was like, I think it's genuinely like one of the kind of most light-hearted in the series. I think it is overall, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe 1. But it's Peace Walker. That's the one I'd want to remake.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Honestly, I haven't heard that a lot. I've heard MGS2 a lot, and then you said 4 today. MGS2 seems to be one of the most common. MGS1 too, I hear a lot, which is kind of ironic because they have the Twin Snakes remake. But some people don't like it because it's like over the top. He's like, doing backflips and stuff. But I mean, again, this whole series is over the top, so it's not like
hilarious.
To me, it's like, I mean, this guy's a super soldier, anyways. If he wants to backflip over a rocket, let him backflip over a rocket.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not. This guy is the cream of the crop, super soldier type of people, you know, Solid Snake. And so when he does these crazy over the top animation, it's like, whatever. It's not the most crazy thing in the series. Like there's there's things in the series that are way more over the top than Snake doing a couple of acrobatics. Okay. Like, I don't know.
100%. Yeah. And if my main man, Leon Kennedy can do it, then Solid Snake can do it. You know, everyone's got a backflip sometimes.
Yeah, everyone's got a backflip sometimes. Everyone's got to do a little show off, you know, once in a while. So, So Dank, what is your favorite boss fight in Delta?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
There's a couple good ones. So,
you know, I have to say, maybe I'll give you like a top 3. I think actually, you know what? The boss. I have to say the boss, because obviously it's I think the fact that they did like the CQC animations are so much better than the original, and the kind of like I think it genuinely, like in the original it's very good, don't get me wrong, and the lighting and the graphics are quite pretty, but in this it looked so beautiful and so like crisp. The flowers, just the atmosphere, like it really like all came together. And then, you know, you just the actual ending when you have that kind of, it zooms out and he's standing above her, and there's that final shot. It's like I think it was kind of better than the original, which is going to be super controversial to a lot of people for me to say that, but like at the same time it just hit different than it did originally, and I didn't expect to be brought to tears at the ending of the game again, like I had done before, but it hit me actually.
It almost did me too. I didn't quite get there, but I was emotionally swelled up.
It hit me because it's just so the performance from both David Hayter and I can't remember her name now, which is really annoying me. But the performances from the actors, the voice actors, are brilliant. Like this, they hold up so well. And her voice, like her sorrow, her sadness, and the fact that like she starts it with like I've been waiting for you my whole life, for your birth, for you to like train, for you to become who you are. Essentially being like, I've just been waiting for my death. And it's just this beautiful kind of moment. Where she's like, you know, now give me this final experience. Do me the favor of fighting me to the death, because like this is what I want. And it's just brilliantly done. But I'd have to say I think that one, honestly, out of all of them, because like I find, and this is the same slightly in the original, I find the most frustrating is the pain. I find him frustrating, and I think it's probably like maybe it's just me, maybe other people find him easier, but I find him to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. But it was probably because I forgot, and I played the game before, and I forgot to get the shotgun. And if you don't have the shotgun for that boss fight, it's so horribly difficult, because you have to sort of like throw grenades at him endlessly, and he'll take those grenades and throw them back at you. So I found it really tedious, and I think I restarted the game because I knew to get the shotgun, and I was like, I'm an idiot for doing this. And of course I played it on the hardest difficulty, because it's like you've played the game before and it's got more like streamlined controls. It's going to be an easier time. So like, but still it was like, oh God, what have I done? So I had to restart the game in that respect, I think.
I did the grenade method, but I did not do the hardest difficulty, just because it had been a long time since I played the series. So I was like, okay, well, let's just go with the normal one. But
and it doesn't matter what difficulty you play on either. Like they're always fun, no matter what. It's just like if you really want to punish yourself, you give that little extra difficulty a go, and it's like 2 shots and then you're dead. So it's like, and actually it can be more frustrating than fun. So I'm always a strong believer you're playing a game for fun. Like difficulty doesn't matter. But if you're unemployed and you don't have a job, you have to play on the hardest difficulty, because that's your job. And that's coming from someone who played it when he was unemployed. So it's not a judgment, it's not hatred. It's just like, come on, you're unemployed. What else are you doing if you're playing games. Like, you got to be on that hardest difficulty, bud. Like, if you have a 9 to 5, play easy. Doesn't matter. You got to play it. If you have kids, especially, play that shit on easy. Get through the game because you want to play it and have fun. It's like you ain't got the time to like be on hard and to restart level 30 times.
I don't care if people play stuff on easy. I think it's fine. I think the only time it ever really matters is if a game is meant to be difficult, and that's like the whole point. And then it's like, okay, you got to play that difficulty. But in that case, they shouldn't even give you a difficulty slider because the whole point of the game is to be difficult.
Yeah, real.
And
I think when you get a game that's like that, it's it's entirely like designed, like you said, around the difficulty, so it will just never give you that option, right? Which I think is like a very big.
But Metal Gear Solid isn't just meant to be difficult. It really isn't. It's just mostly meant to get you to have some fun gameplay, get you through an interesting storyline, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So do you who's your favorite snake? Out of curiosity. Cool. So we got a lot of snakes, and I know this isn't MGS3 specific, but who is your favorite snake?
So my favorite one is probably Venom Snake.
Okay.
Which is and it's funny because he originally when that was released and people found out, they were really upset, right? And like people were genuinely like completely upset. But for me, he was my first snake.
Your first love.
And I think. Yeah, real, exactly, right. Genuinely though, he's the reason I fell in love with the series. So like, I like him for that aspect, but mostly because I think what's cool about him is he's us. Like, as much as he isn't. Like, he's like Raiden in the respect where, like, he's like Raiden, but 2 steps above. So Raiden was like, oh, you write your name in and it's your dog tag and it doesn't change anything, and now he's relinquishing control of the player. But Venom is objectively like Kojima's way of saying, you built this character, you made this series what it is, like, you are as much a part of this as the actual characters within it. And that kind of fourth wall break of like, you are him and I'm you and you are me is so cool to hear. And I think it's such an interesting way of doing video games because, most of them, like some of them don't even give you a choice at the end of their games to make a decision. And that's fair enough because they're meant to be like an experience and the writer wants to do that. But I think, like, for me, the worst example of this is The Last of Us 2. The fact that you play this entire game, and I'm sorry, I'm spoiling all these games, but there is a slight point to it where like you play this entire game for this revenge plot, and at the end she just goes no, because the writer wanted to make a point of revenge is pointless and everyone gets hurt, and instead he should have made the player decide to make that choice for them, or decide to go through with it, and then the game would not have had half the controversy it had around the story. Because his goal should have been, okay, you've played both sides of the story. If you like this character Abby, who in my opinion is not a very likable person, then you can allow her to live. But if you really like her, then don't kill her. Don't do this decision. Don't have it be the ending, right? And sorry for spoiling. We're definitely gonna have to give warnings about that probably.
I typically try to on every episode. It's like it's a retro gaming podcast. You're gonna hear about older games. You're gonna hear about some of the endings of older games. I probably wouldn't recommend listening to an episode. It's like, oh, I've never played this game. I want to listen to this episode.
Yeah, real.
Maybe go play it first and then come listen to the episode. You just cut so you don't have that spoilers, because naturally when we're talking about these older games, there's going to be some of that. So I kind of wanted to go into some of the good, the bad, and the in-between feelings I had about the game, because the game wasn't all good, it wasn't all bad, and there was some mixed feelings. But I'll go over my rating at the end, and I'll say it's in a positive note for sure. So the good, I liked the change in graphics. I know a lot of people didn't, but I personally enjoyed them. I don't think it did a disservice. I don't think it really destroyed the atmosphere that people were saying. I think it was great. I honestly can't wait to see other Metal Gears receive the same treatment as far as graphics go. How do you feel?
I think the graphics are generally a positive, and I think, in fact, totally a positive. For me, I didn't see any. There weren't really any areas where why'd they pick this, or what does it look like that? For me, I was genuinely like, wow, I'm blown away. This is like what it looked like in my mind when I first played it. Is what I thought for a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
And I thought the graphics even enhanced the gameplay, especially with the camouflage system, and with the end boss fight. Like in the original, quite easy to spot. Kind of like I felt it was actually like way more bigged up as a boss fight than it should have been, and I think it was actually done slightly better in Delta. Which some people are probably going to kill me for, but yeah, genuinely, I think it's like his camouflage was better. He was harder to spot, and I sort of felt as though in the original the grass was flatter, right, in a lot of parts. Like this actually had 3D textures, 3D objects for like grass and for like the wood, and it was a lot more it was a lot less flat, so it looked a lot more realistic, and things blended better with the camouflage system. Even when you look at Snake, you're like, okay, this actually makes more sense why someone can't see him, whereas in the original you're a bit like, okay, but I can literally see every enemy when I enter a zone. Sometimes I'd enter a zone and I wouldn't see the enemy because they were in green, and they'd blend into the background, and I thought that was perfect because it sort of like illustrates like one of the core mechanics of the game being used by the enemy, which I thought was way cooler than the original, because in the original you kind of walk in the zone and you see everyone, or at least that was my feeling for it. But that it illustrates the camouflage, and in war that's going to be the case too. You're not going to see everybody because they're camouflaged for the environment they're in. Again, it's not supposed to be a realistic game, but that part can be realistic because it just makes sense. I also, another good point is I liked the combat compared to the original. I think I don't know if I prefer. It's hard to say. I don't know if I prefer the camera like behind the back or not, because I just got so used to the normal formula. But it did kind of make me feel more immersed in the game. Like I felt like I was more part of it rather than like an onlooker. I don't know about you. I think for me I only ever played it on the HD remaster for like the PS Vita. So for me, I always played it with the third person, over the shoulder, like not the overlook. And when I played Metal Gear Solid 1, I think it fits that game very well. I think it like third, like over the shoulder, would not work obviously in the first game, and for 2 as well. It's one of these games where it fits it a lot more, and it makes sense why they chose it because they're really tight environments. But for the third one, they're open, so they're these open environments, so it feels better to use a third person over the shoulder over like this top down view. But I get why people would still want to play it with that, and it is still cool and interesting. I think they should have maybe made it that you could switch between the two easier, because they had that. I think I read somewhere that in one of them they had it that it was like that, but then some people also said that it kind of trivialized it because it meant you could go third person, see the enemies, and then go over the shoulder and see the enemies that you couldn't see before, right? So I get that aspect of it, but I think overall it's slightly more immersive. You're more likely to get caught out by enemies behind cover, that kind of thing.
Yes,
which I think is a lot more fun because it makes you a bit more like, it makes it a little harder, but not in an annoying way. In a more like, I should be more careful and look around corners, or I should be a bit slower paced, and not speed run the game or just run through it all. But yeah, games like, for instance, Metal Gear Solid 2, if they were to do the third person camera, it just wouldn't work, because of the environments. Like they'd have to significantly change the way the environments are done. And I think the indoor sections would be like, it would impact the game in a worse way. And some people might even say that, like, the indoor sections in the game, like in Grozny Grad or in the Grigorin lab, are worse off for the third person. But I think it's better because you see them a lot less. But I never played with the over the top through the whole thing, so I wouldn't know specifically the difference really.
Sure. Yeah, no, I didn't do the over the top either. But on the original, I did. Right, that's kind of how the game plays. It's so, and with Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, I did kind of the top down view. But yeah, I kind of like the change of pace, and the change of the camera. It made me feel like I was more actually Snake in the game rather than I'm like just like a third party viewing Snake. So that was kind of cool. But it does kind of lead me into one of the points I didn't like about the game is that, and I don't know if this problem persisted with the top down view, is that my camera in certain areas, like especially like close quarters and stuff, was just like would go all over the place. Like you would hit a corner and it's like zooming over here, and the camera, especially in that that point where you're trying to get the guy that looks like Raiden, the general or whatever, and you're trying to put on his face or whatever, or his costume, that area where, dude, I hated the camera there because it was all over the place. And I was streaming the game at the time, and one of my friends came in and he's like, dude, this camera is driving me crazy. I was like, dude, it's me too. I can't not. If that problem happens with the top down view, and I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had that experience at all.
I don't
with it.
think I did, but then again, I think maybe with the dragging, when you drag him, maybe I think I did have a little bit of a hiccup with the camera. But for me, it was very fluid. I mean, I played on PC, so I don't know which. Yeah, whether you played on okay, so you played PC, okay. But then again, this is the problem with PC gaming, right? Is that like depending on what rig you have, depending on what settings you pick, all sorts of like glitches and like gameplay issues can arise from it. Which to me is always like it's the downside of it. Whereas like the upside is you can run everything, including vintage games. Like you can play PS2 games on a PC. You can play even Xbox 360 games on a PC or PS3 games on a PC if you have a good enough rig or if you set it up well enough. It can take a bit of time, but like the issue is though that it's like we can have completely different systems, and for me it runs like fine and runs like butter, but like my settings are different and like my the drivers are different, my graphics card's different, all sorts, right? And then for you, it's like, okay, it runs really nicely up until this point because like my processor or my graphics just freak out by it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was smooth as far as the gameplay. What it was is it's in the tight areas. Your camera would hit a wall, and it would try to like adjust itself for hitting a wall or whatever. So it would like do this like bouncing thing, it was trying to correct itself basically, I think. And
I think I did get that at some point actually. Yeah.
And it was only in these tight areas. It didn't really happen out in the jungle because the camera didn't have anything to hit or run into. But it's kind of a minor point, but it was really annoying in that one section. I'm like, dude, this camera is crazy. But most of the game was kind of fine. I didn't really have too many issues, but I really noticed it during that section. And it's really bad because that section is like the section you have to be the most sneakiest in the game.
Yes.
It's like that is so I got caught pretty much every single time. I don't know if there was like a time I didn't get caught. I had to redo that section probably like 5 times before I got it right. Or more. I might maybe like 7. I don't know. It was a lot. Anyways, one of the good points I had was the boss fights were fun. I think almost all of them were fun. There is one that wasn't fun, and I'll get to that. But almost every single boss fight was really fun. What do you think?
I liked them all. Yeah. My only comment is so I'm going to sound like a psycho now, but where there's the vultures, so you're in the mountains and there's the vultures. I specifically killed a guy so that the vulture would eat him, so that I could eat the vulture, so that I'd hear the "you ate me" during the Sorrow boss fight, and I didn't get that. It didn't trigger, and I found that maybe I'd killed too many people because I was doing a bloodthirsty kind of run on my first one. But yeah, maybe I didn't do something well enough, or I'd killed too many people, but I didn't get that detail, and I thought that was really quite depressing. Because and I made sure to slit a couple guys' throats so that their heads would be falling off and all sorts of stuff like that. But they didn't have that as much. I saw like the pilots for the helicopters. That was cool, and then the guys on fire. But yeah, overall, I think the Sorrow was slightly less well done from what I remember. But I might go back and replay it and see if it does it again. But I don't think it does, because in the original, it was. I remember thinking, "Oh my god, this is hilarious!" Like I ate this vulture. Like the first time I did it, it was complete like happenstance, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I just realized it's because I ate that vulture. It's like,
I love those. These games are full of Easter eggs like that. It's so cool. Yeah. Like these little tiny details that you wouldn't know unless you played the game multiple times or you looked it up. Like these little things that it's really cool. Like the full vulture thing with the Sorrow. And I actually want to bring up the Sorrow because that is the only boss fight that I hated in this game. I hate that boss fight so much. It's because there's no way to rush it. There's no way to make it go faster. You are stuck in the sequence with this guy for the entire time it's going. And if you die, you're doing it again. Okay. Like you're going back and you're gonna, it was rough. I died once because I didn't realize what I was doing. I was like, oh man. But, I understand it's trying to show you like what you've done. It's the consequences of your actions. Literally, you're dealing with this whole fight that whole time because of it. But it's really hard to like sit through it.
Yeah, when you replay it's not fun. When you replay it, it's one of the ones that you go, okay, I wish there was a faster way to do this. I think there might be a way to rush through it. I can't remember. There might be like something with like you can trigger your death and get a revive pill. But from memory, I think I tried doing that to rush through it. I was like, okay, let me, because I know you have to use the revive pill to get out of it. Let me try and drown myself or try and do this to get through it. Because when you first play the game, it's like this kind of mind-blowing sequence where you're like, oh wow, yeah, like maybe I shouldn't have killed all these guys. And then you kind of, on the second time and the third time or the fourth time you've played, you go, okay, it's this bit again. It's time to walk through a swamp really slow and try and avoid ghosts from touching me.
And just hear this guy like lecturing you the whole time or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's really funny to do when you do a no-kill run, when you do like a complete run where you just you don't kill anyone, not even the bosses, and like he still shows the bosses to you, and you're kind of like, yeah, but I tranquilized them, like they blew themselves up with their bombs. Like you kind of have this moment where you're like, this feels really funny because he's like, look what you've done, and it's like no ghosts at all. And you actually, I think the section is actually faster if you don't kill anyone as well, because they force you to see every single like ghost that you've killed.
And I killed so many, dude. I killed so many. Nice. I got caught a lot, so I was just like mowing people down. Oh man, he was lecturing me for a good minute. I was
like half the Soviet army dead from Big Boss. Naked Snake kill them all.
It's so funny how many people the snakes kill. They kill so many people.
They do.
But it's only one segment of the game, so it's not that bad. But when it does happen, you're like, I just wish there was a way to kind of like speed it up. It's like, okay, dude, I get it. Like, let's move on. The story was, so one of the good points is the story is good. If you've ever played Metal Gear Solid 3, I think the story is very solid. It's not that confusing, unlike the other stories in the series. It's very cohesive. It's very straight to the point. As far as it's straight to the point as far as like, there's nuance to it, but you understand what's going on. Like it's not all over the place. Like, with MGS2 was my first game in the series. So you can imagine that my mind was like, what is going on in this game? Like, it was just like, nothing is real. Everything is fake. And, everything's a lie. It's like, okay, geez. Okay. But this one, it's like, there is some of that where it's like, not everything seems as it is, but it's also not confusing. It's like, oh, I get the reason why the boss did what she did, and it's explained well. I think it's explained well. I think the story is very fun to watch, and I think seeing Big Boss's progression through the story to become more of that hardened warrior that he's meant to become, is really cool. What do you think about the story?
Oh, I'd agree. It's definitely the most accessible out of all of them. Because it's just, as you said, right? Like it's everything gets wrapped up as well at the end, which I think is so nice. Like there's no loose threads that I can think of because it's obviously like a prequel, so they have the benefit of being Ocelot. Like, okay, anything that and Ocelot's kind of a little bit like one of these things, but then it does, like, if you then go on to play the other ones, you realize this guy just plays both sides constantly. That's all this guy does. Like
he plays all sides all times.
Yeah. He's all the time. He's literally Mac from Always Sunny going, I'm playing both sides so I come out on top. Just constantly doing that, right? And I think the nicest thing about it is that it's like I'm English, right? So to me, like James Bond is this important cultural thing, and we have watched and we will watch the old films, right? So the old 60s, 70s, 80s Cold War
Sean
films.
Connery?
With Sean Connery, we'll watch all of those, right? From Russia with Love, fantastic, by the way. Recommend people go watch it. It's probably one of the best James Bond films of all time, if not the best, other than Casino Royale, because that one's good. But anyway, when you watch these, like if you play Metal Gear Solid, it's the closest I've ever felt to playing a James Bond game, and it's so funny because he's so far away from that character in several aspects, but the story itself is so like dipped in this cool Cold War espionage. Both governments trying to fight each other with like guys that are going in and kind of finding little things and goofy bad guy sidekicks and interesting kind of like weird plot devices and doomsday weapons. And so I think it's the most James Bond out of the whole series, whilst also weirdly enough being the most kind of down to earth in some aspects as well, because as you said, like the Metal Gear Solid 2, they hit you with so much like existential, bizarre, strange storytelling that it genuinely takes you out of the game at certain points, which is cool, and I think is like it's the point of the game. But it's the least kind of like accessible for most audiences, and you kind of have to have played 1 to understand the plot to 2, because of the fact that it references so many events that happen in 1, and you realize, that's the point of the kind of story at points. But it's a lot more cohesive of a story in MGS3. It's simple, but not so simple that you're like, this is just dumb. I don't, like it's boring. It's good. I think it's probably one of the best stories they have. I'm quite fond of Metal Gear Solid 1 story with Solid Snake. There's a special place in my heart for that. I really like Solid Snake as a character, and I think he's my favorite Snake. Cool.
Yeah, but I think just because I don't know, Solid Snake is like good of heart, but he's like Big Boss if he went in a different direction. It's like you kind of have these two pathways, and Solid Snake kind of went one, and Big Boss went the other. And so I really like Solid Snake for that reason, because it could have been easy for him to kind of go down the Big Boss route. Very easy for him, especially with everything that ever happened to him. So the story was great. I recommend if anybody goes and plays these games and hasn't, I would recommend starting with 3 or Delta. Whatever you prefer. If you want to go with the original 3, that's fine. It's a good game. If you want to go with Delta, it's also good. And so I thought another good point was that I liked that it was so original, but maybe you're onto something where it was too faithful to the original, where it's like it's almost the same exact experience. And some people are going to really love that. And I think a lot of people will, but it almost is hard to justify the price tag because of
sure.
that.
Yeah, for sure. Because the game's it didn't add, like, I still think it's like such a missed opportunity not to add side ops. Like, I've genuinely, when the game was about to come out, people were talking about the idea of like, they're going to add extra missions, because of course they're going to add extra missions. That's like what justifies the idea of remaking this. It's what justifies the idea of like updating the Fox engine, or it was Unreal Engine 5. Sorry. So justifying like putting this on a new engine and kind of adding things, because like Yeah, the game's like what, 8 hours long, around about 9, depending on
Yeah,
how
not too
long
long.
it takes you to play. It's not long at
Yeah.
all. Like you can beat it in a weekend. You can beat it genuinely in like 1 or 2 days. You can take as long as you want, but realistically, it's going to be around 8-9 hours. And yeah, and to fully complete the game, I mean, I've got hours in. I'll literally say how many hours I have in the game, and I like fully like 100%ed it with the achievements. It's like, and there is some of this. So I spent 105 hours playing the game, 100, but that's, I would say, 20 hours of 20 hours of what's it called? Fox Hunt. So yeah, I'd say about 80 hours to 100% the game fully. And that's doing several runs. That's doing like a few things like that. I didn't bother speed running it. I liked to kind of like take my time with it and play about with the gameplay. But yeah, like the justification of like adding that was like, yeah, the time it took like to beat. I remember beating it and thinking, okay, well, like surely there's going to be a bit more stuff that's unlocked, and there wasn't. And I guess the like rest of it was put into Fox Hunt, which I'm really sad they didn't release it firsthand with it, because it would have got a lot more hype. People would have played it a lot more, because it's
Big
a really and they advertised it as a battle royale, which they shouldn't have advertised it as, because it's not. Like, it is a battle royale, but it's really not. It's a lot more. Like, they should have advertised it as like its own kind of. They should have used a new buzzword for it, because yeah, it's very, like, it feels like playing a Metal Gear Solid game with other people very quickly in very short bursts. Like, it's like, you know, you go in, you focus on stealth, but you gather equipment to be able to fight people back if you have to get into boss fights, and everyone feels like a mini boss in that respect, and everyone's on a very equal level playing field, and it was well balanced, and yeah, the gameplay was just really fun. But yeah, they should have added side ops, and I think the biggest example of like what they could have added would be like, you have to like grab a guy and take him to an extraction point. You have to detonate something. You have to assassinate one guy while not killing anyone else. Like, if you've played like any of the bonus missions, the extra ops in Metal Gear Solid 1, the VR training missions, sorry, that's what they're called. The VR training missions in Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2 are like fantastic examples of what they could have done with the gameplay and the side content, and they're so fun to play. Some of them are frustrating as hell and will make you want to break a controller because they're super difficult.
Right.
And you'll just end up looking up a guide because you're like, how do I do this? And you're like, oh, okay, I have to shoot this guy first, then this, then this, then that. But they're genuinely, there's such a fun way to take the gameplay without, like, it doesn't cost anything for the developer they're not making new assets, right? They're just recycling content and coding levels and adding gameplay. And they could have easily done that with Metal Gear Solid Delta, and they really should have, because it was like, it was not even like, it's not even like a 60 euro, £60, $60 game. It was a $70-80 game, depending on where you are, and I don't know how much it was in dollars, but yeah, it was €70 for me in Europe, and I remember looking at it and thinking, why are we suddenly making games more expensive, first of all, and why is it such a high price if they're not going to add more content? I was like, surely they'll add more, and they didn't, and that was my biggest criticism of the game, actually, was that they just went, here's the game again, updated graphics, which look gorgeous, one new system, which is the Scar system, and then that's about it. And all the weapons, all the guns and stuff, you know, all the gameplay functionality that you can experiment with, you know, we could have added extra content, because realistically, yes, it would have taken us time to model all the graphics, but like, the level design was already made. Like, the levels, they genuinely, all the levels, all the gameplay that was there was already there. And I guess, like, I'm not a game developer, I don't do any development, so I don't know how difficult it would be, but seemingly to me, it's a lot easier to remake a game than to make a whole new one. And so when you remake a game, you should add content. I always believe that they should add content. And it's my biggest criticism of every game that's ever been remade. Mafia 1 is another good example of it, where the gameplay is so much better than the original, and the graphics are so much better, but the content is not very different. They play very similar. and I played the original Mafia on PS2, which is hilarious because I think most people probably played it on PC because it was probably better to play on PC. And they changed a few things here and there, and in some respects the gameplay is slightly worse. But like, you look at it and you go, okay, but where's the extra content? Where's the side missions? Where's the the stuff that's like a little bit more for those that want to really get into the game? Because I'm a sucker for side content. I love to play all the content, and I'm also a strong believer that if you make a game and you make it a story game, it is also really nice to make it very tight, very linear, like very controlled, very well done, because then you come back to it and you go, this is the same experience, and it's like watching a movie, right? And it's like it's genuinely like you come in and you're like, okay, I'm ready for this. It's going to be the same kind of experience. It's going to be just as good. And you play like, I think UB Slop is a really good example of like they make these open worlds that are so badly done, and too big and too large and too bulky and have too much side content that's too boring and too repetitive. So I'm not a believer of just repeating content, but I think they should make more levels, more extra op stuff for linear games, because it's not an open world game, it's not got the ability for me to just dive back in. Like every area will ultimately be the same. Like if I replay it 3 or 4 times, I'm realistically not really going to get much value out of replaying it again. Unless I've waited a few years and have gone, okay, I want to remind myself why this was one of the best games ever made, and go back into it, because like I'll know everything, and I'll know everything too well. I'll be too familiar with the game, and so it will be less of a challenge. Like I think, again, Resident Evil is a good example of like I played Resident Evil 7 recently again, and like I know where all the items are, I know where all the placement is, and so it loses, like it's not scary to me anymore. When I first played it, I was a little terrified because it's first person. You get them in your face. You feel kind of helpless at the start as well, and at certain points. And now when you replay it, you're like, okay, well I know where this is. I know where this is. I know this is this section. I know how to skip this bit. And so you lose that kind of fear level. Again, the games are fantastic the first time you play it, and it's good the second time, the third time, the fourth time. But adding that extra content, which they did, by the way, they have like these little DLCs where you can just play the gameplay, is fantastic, because sometimes you actually don't want to replay the entire game. You just want to play the gameplay because it's not going to be the same experience as when you first played it, right? And you just want to get back into, okay, I want to wear the camouflage, I want to eat bug, wear camouflage, and stealth around the level, right? And it's like genuinely like, it's like you lose that if you don't add that content.
Yeah, they missed an opportunity to add extra content for sure. And they should have, because the price tag justified extra content, not just the remodeling of the characters that. Which is great. Yeah. But it's not worth $80. I think it was or $70. I think it was $69 here for the game. Maybe you could justify maybe $39 possibly, but it's a lot. You're talking about like a $30 price difference that I don't think the game was worth. I bought it at a slight discount. I think it was like maybe $12 off, but still, it's just like, by the way, anybody who
original price.
Just a little tip for people. If a new game's coming out, look on Fanatical first before buying it on Steam. There's a good chance it's going to come out. Like Resident Evil Requiem is going to be on sale on Fanatical for like maybe $10 cheaper. So if you want to buy it from there, you're probably going to be better off.
Fantastic,
Yeah, Fanatical's great. I love Fanatical. Free plug for Fanatical. I expect payment at the end of the week. So, but yeah, no, it just didn't justify it. Good game, just not worth the money. That's all I'm saying. Because you could just go back and play the originals and have a very similar experience. But yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to say about the game, and you know what? One thing I don't like, and this goes for the original, just not just for Delta, is some people really like this mechanic, but I don't. It's the whole like bandage, splint, poison. Having to load into that screen and having to like do that really often is like frustrating for me. Like, okay, it's like knife, splint, burn, it's like cauterize, wound. It's like, if it happened a little bit less in the game, I don't think I would mind, but it happens relatively often if you're getting hurt, in which I did. You know, I'm not like that great at the game, so I was in that screen like after every fight, like, okay, here we go, dude. Like trying to bandage myself up. Do you like this mechanic? I know a lot of people do. I'm just curious.
So yeah, I do like the mechanic, but I think I agree with you in certain respects. So I think they could have done similar to the camouflage system. They could have updated it so it was like you use the items maybe like in Fox Hunt where you stop for a second and you heal, and that could have been a really cool change in mechanics, because then it's like Far Cry 2 when you have the weapon jamming where it stops you from being able to fight and you actually have to sit down and you're in the game world and the enemies can approach you and flank you and surround you while you're healing, and it would have made the gameplay way more intense. So they could have done it like that. But my biggest criticism of this system is it doesn't matter which order you do it in. I think that like you can salt your wounds, you can bandage them, then you can dig the bullet out, then you can, and it's like, I get it, it's like maybe it's like he's putting all the gear in the room, but it becomes super like unimmersive. And I really think they should have had it be so that like you essentially can like hurt yourself more with the mechanic.
Okay.
And so you actually have to be careful with it, because then it would have been, then I think like the actual, because like what you're talking about, like, is it not only does it pause the gameplay, but it's kind of mind numbing and kind of like you don't actually have to think for it. You could literally just press. You could literally just press like the confirm button on everything. You could literally just go, okay, this, and use everything, and it wouldn't make a difference. Like your character wouldn't be more hurt. Like the fact that you can literally put your cigar out on every wound you have is funny to me, and that it has no effect. Like he's just getting his cigar out and he's just like stabbing himself with it constantly. Right? Or you misclick, and I guess it was maybe for misclicks, but at the same time I think they should have made it a little bit more like they should have, and this goes for the original as well, they should have made it so that you had to do it in a specific order, that also maybe the console screen was ordered in that specific order, not alphabetically or however which way it's done, because then it kind of adds that immersion, because to me it takes me out every time I do it. Every time I just think, oh lol, I've accidentally like put ointment on my wound. Like that's a like I guess I wasted the ointment, but then again it's like, oh well, boo-hoo. Like it not necessarily damage, but maybe it makes you sick, whatever, right? Or just doesn't let you do it. Some other kind of thing like that, because it takes you out of it. Like digging the bullet out last, which I would do very often, was always a very funny thing to me, because it's like knife comes last in the list, and it's like, okay, now I dig out the bullet. You know, I've stitched it, I've bandaged it, I've put what's it called, disinfectant on it, and now the bullet comes out. And there's memes about this on the internet. Like people have pointed this out for years. But I think genuinely they should have updated it so that it was like in Fox Hunt, where you get a critical injury, but you have to, your character does like an animation. He does like a little animation. Snake gets out a knife wound, a knife digs out the bullet, then stitches it, then bandages it. And that might have actually been more annoying after all and more tedious. But then I think, like what you said, they would have changed it so that it happens less frequently. Because
I think that's that if we were going to go the more like, you know, realistic route where we do certain order, I think for me it would just it would have to happen less. Because it happens really frequently. So you're doing this often. So I think that's fine.
Every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes. I think that's fine. And it would be more immersive, but I think it would just happen to, you know, I don't know how they would code it. Maybe it's just like you'd need to take more damage, or I don't know, in order for it to happen or whatever. But
specific areas you get hit and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's my same complaint with games like what do you call it? What's that one that everyone plays where it's like a realistic shooter and you have like an inventory?
Tarkov.
Oh man, I can't stand it. I call it inventory simulator, because you're 90% of the game you're spent just doing stuff in your inventory. It's like, I want to play the game. I don't want to do all this organizing and like taking the bullets out and like putting the bullets. It's like, I don't want to do all this stuff. Just let me play the game. So
I played a game very recently that was in the same genre of extraction shooters, and I played 10 minutes of it, and I opened the first thing, like a first box, and I went, oh, I just realized it's an extraction shooter. I don't want to play a game where I have to remember what items are good, what items aren't, all this other stuff. Like, to me, and this is going to sound bad, but they're like genuine, like jobless people games. They're games that like completely suit people that just have either like no job or they have no kind of social life, so they can completely dedicate themselves to the game fully, because you have to learn so much about the game and dedicate so much of your life to it and so much of your time to it, that to me it's like it takes away what a hobby should be and what a game should be, which is something to relax and enjoy like once in a blue moon, or not even once in a blue moon, but like you can play a game every day, you can play games all day, doesn't matter, right? But if the game is so complex to the point that you have to learn different ammo types, what guns, attachments things go to, where things are, map locations, all this stuff, you're not playing a game, you're like working a 9 to 5 unpaid. Like you're genuinely like you're genuinely learning too much. Like go learn a degree, like, you know, put that effort into doing something that will enrich your life, because it's like genuinely just wasteful.
You're gonna have all these Tarkov people just like come. Yeah, but it's like,
very mad at that.
yeah, you know what? It's a niche. It's a niche audience. They call it a military sim, not a shooter, and I guess it works for that niche audience. It's just really not my cup of tea, dude. It's way off the beaten path for me. If I'm gonna play a shooter, I want to get in and I want to shoot people. That's kind of like the point for me, you know? So,
well, and in Tarkov, you get in and you shoot people, and the bullets don't work. The bullets just straight up don't work. They hit the guy's helmet 50 times, and it's either because the game's poorly made, or the bullets you've used are from China and badly made, and don't have any gunpowder in them. But like whatever, there's like a million different excuses, but people can't admit the fact that the game is just badly made. And that's the ultimate. That's my point for that game, is that it's just genuinely poorly made. It's really cool concept, and really cool kind of ideas, but it changed completely from what it originally was. Originally, they were going to actually have factions fighting over maps and control points, and it was going to be semi-open world. They had all this kind of different idea about how the game was going to be, and it's completely like shifted gear into just now the game like supports being a rat and sitting in a corner and waiting for people to do all the work for you, and then you just shoot them in the head once with a gun that penetrates bullets and all sorts. So, you know, fair enough, people can like it, but not a fun game for most people. I think most people realize and have learned that this is just not a good genre.
Boring.
Even
fun to watch sometimes.
Battle Royale,
clips.
The battle royale like genre was like very similar in certain respects, but I think battle royale was done just that little bit better, where you're all on the equal footing, like at the start of it, and it's a lot more skill based, whereas this is a lot more like time and equipment based. I think from what I see, and a little bit pay to win, because you get the slightly bigger box if you give them however many dollars. So that they can keep making a game that will never be finished. But yeah, anyway, sorry. That's enough of my Tarkov hate.
Yeah, me too. Well, we're on the same page. So we've kind of said a lot about Metal Gear Solid 3 and Delta, and I think we've gone over most of my points. Is there kind of like anything else you would like to cover before we kind of wrap up the episode?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think we've covered everything. Again, it's like, for me, I'd only just want to come back to the point of like, it's one of these games that genuinely, I think, for people that haven't played it or are waiting to play it and are listening to these kind of videos to look for opinions on whether they should get it, that they should just wait for it to go on sale, or play the original again.
Agreed.
Or you know, sail the seven seas and get it a certain other way. But genuinely, it's because it doesn't, like, I remember thinking the price tag was not justified. I love the series and I paid for it because I want them to keep making Metal Gear Solid games and I want the game to do well. So arguably I paid for it just because of my love for the series, to chip in to be like, okay, Konami, we're still interested. Please don't just put this in the bin for like 50 years and don't make any more games. Like, make new games. So that was really the reason why I bought it. And to revisit, of course, a classic. But yeah, it's not worth the price tag for the lack of content, in my opinion. I think they should have done more with the content, done more with the gameplay. And yeah, added a few more things. Like, I genuinely think people wouldn't have been upset at the end of the day, because if they'd have made it optional and it wasn't involved in the main story, no one would have been upset. In fact, everyone would be praising it even more, I think. So that's sort of the point I have about it. Yeah.
If you were to kind of rate this game and rate the original, would they have the same ratings? Do you like one or the other better or worse?
Ooh, that's a hard question. That's a really hard one. I think you'd have to break it down into the kind of categories of like graphics and like different kind of stuff like that. I'd say they're basically the same game, just one looks better. So I would probably give Delta a slightly higher rating for just the graphics and the Fox Hunt mode, whereas like the people that played the original with probably Metal Gear Solid Online 1 would give it a higher rating, right? Because they had that experience with it. So I think it's, funnily enough, it sounds really stupid, but they're kind of very difficult to rate by comparison because they're very similar but very different. So it depends on what people like in the series, but I would say it is like overall it is an improvement of the third one. So yeah, the graphics and the audio design and the gameplay are better, but fans of the original, I completely get why you don't like the remake. It's for certain things. Like I do get that. So I don't want to sound like I'm like completely blind to that. Because it's I get entirely why, like for instance, the Fear boss fight is trivialized in the remake, whereas in the original he's a little harder and he's a little bit more interesting to fight. But overall I'd probably say that they're about the same rating. If not, like one of them like they do different things better. Because of the different times they came out in, I think is really what I'd say about it, which is ironic because the whole story is about times. So and about like the different eras of life. So it kind of represents that very well. In that respect.
Would you be able to give it a numerical rating, or would that be too difficult?
I mean, they're both 10s. They're genuinely they're both 10s out of 10s. Like both of them are one of my favorite games ever made. So it's genuinely, it's when I played out, I was blown away. Sat back, definitely. Definitely, like it's my favorite in the series to revisit. For sure. And it's not because of the gameplay, it's not because of the like visuals, it's because the story as well as the gameplay as well as the mechanics. I think it's some of the coolest mechanics ever in video games. I think it's one of the only games that's done eating really well. Like really well. Like I think it's and made it not just that like the food affects you but affects the enemies. I think that's fantastic. Like they really went like these are real people, and some food items are poisonous and you can poison people with, and some like it's fantastic how complex the food system is, whereas in most games it's just like here is energy bar, eat energy bar to keep doing activity. And there's less strategy involved around the eating. Whereas in this, it's like, some foods spoil, some foods don't. All sorts of stuff like that. And I think it's just, genuinely one of the best food systems ever made in games. Because normally they're tedious, and I think they're a lot more fun in this one. And they're because they're not just items that you eat, they're distraction tools, or they're weapons even, which I think is just a hilarious thing. Like it's so funny to feed a guy a poisonous mushroom or rotten food and have him go, "Ugh, that's rotten," and then he pukes all over his shoes, and you can just walk right past him, or just walk up to him and punch him in the face once or twice, and he's done because he's just vomited and he's weak. This game has a lot of little intricacies like that if you play it just once, you might not even know. It's like, I can poison I can poison the enemy. I can feed them food. Like, what is going on here? Like, there's a lot of cool little stuff like that in these series in general, not just MGS3 or Delta, that you can do. And you just like, wow, that's a neat little thing they decided to do. They didn't have to do that, but they did, And so, I think it's great. It's good for replayability. You can play this game in different ways and still beat the game. Like for example, using the tranquilizer rather than using the gun. Do I want to just go on like you said, like a kind of like a murder spree and kill everybody? And so in a good case of that was Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes for me. I beat it probably like 7 times. And one of the times I decided to beat it just choking people out.
Like that was my whole thing. That's all I did the whole game. I just choked them out. Like that was So you can do that, and you can do that, and that I think it makes a really good replayability. Ironically, even though the games are linear, they can be replayed in different ways. So I think that's great. If I had any final thoughts for this game, I would say, overall, I'm really glad I picked it up. I'm really glad I replayed it and got to re-experience this story, because I did beat it back when it first came out, and it was great. But I wanted to kind of see it again, because there was a lot of things I kind of forgot about MGS3. Like I didn't play it as much as the other ones in the series, and it was really cool to kind of replay it with these high fidelity graphics and this new kind of camera angle shooter type thing. And it was just a good experience overall. Like I'm really happy. I wish it wasn't as pricey as it was, but it was worth playing in my opinion as a Metal Gear fan. Now, if you're not a person who is like a Metal Gear fan, like Dank was saying, wait for it to go on sale. Then I would say buy the game and play it, and then you'll enjoy it. So if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I think there's little tiny things that I don't like, but I think overall this might be one of the highest rated games that I've done on the podcast, and it's got to be like a 9 out of 10 for me with those small little nitpicks that I have. It's so good. The story is so good. The gameplay it's fun. I mean, maybe this gameplay is not for everybody. They don't like the sneaking around and stuff, but you don't have to sneak around. You can go, balls to the wall. you might have some trouble, but you can do it. You can kill everybody. But yeah, it's a great game. Delta for me was a good reimagining, not even a reimagining, because it's not a reimagining, a good remake of the series. It was great. Fantastic. So, we kind of ask at the end, should people reload the game? And I already know your answer. Should people reload it?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a no-brainer. Reload the game, play it. Even though I guess technically this isn't a reload because it's a new game. But go ahead.
But it is. It is.
It again, if you don't want to play the new one, or you can't afford it, if you go back and play the originals, it's going to be
it's
going to be great. So
it's one of the best games ever made. 100%.
I mean, there's a reason the Metal Gear Solid series is as popular as it is, and this is a common favorite among many people.
Yeah. I would even say this game is the reason why. Which is probably crazy to say, but yeah, I think most people will play one or the other, and then they find this one and they go, okay, this is absolute keynote. Like this is genuine. Like it's like playing a classic, a masterpiece. Like it's insane. You come out of this and you go, okay, video games are art. Like, and if you don't, it's like you don't like video games. It's like that's not for you. Like genuinely, there are a lot of things, and people can dislike it because of gameplay functions, or they don't like stealth. So I respect that, right? But most people will go, okay, this is absolute peak. Like it's insane how cool so many things are in the game.
I've heard one complaint, and that has too many cinematics. Some people are just not a fan.
Okay, I can get that.
But they just want to shoot people.
Button. They can skip them though, so that's my criticism for them. Because on replays, I will admit, I do skip some of the cutscenes because I just remember what they're about and what they are. And some of them are really cool to watch, and some of them are a little slower paced and a little bit more expository. And sometimes, like you said, you just want to shoot people. You just want to get in the gameplay. And that's why I think they needed to add the side ops mode again, because then it's like, you tailor a bit more to this reimagined gameplay. Like they didn't add any new story elements. So there's like, you're watching the same story you've watched 4 or 5 times, depending on who you are. Most people, I think, would have played a lot of it again. But
Yeah, awesome. So I know you have a YouTube channel. I wanted to give you the opportunity to plug it if you wanted to.
So if people want to see terrible shit posts that haven't been updated in like almost over a year now, you can go look at my content on NJB Productions. So that's NJB Productions, yeah. And if you're interested in hearing more opinions I have about games, go on my latest shitpost and message, hey, I came from this video. I heard your opinions. I liked them. Make an actual video talking about games instead of this crappy ass content. Because some of it is awful. Some of it's awful. My most viewed video is like a really bad YouTube poop of like, it's like genuinely the worst thing. It's the first thing I ever edited for YouTube, and it was just awful. It was really badly done. So yeah,
that's funny.
But it's the most viewed, right? So yeah, go watch it if you want to. If you want to see like complete stupid stuff. I'm also half of the videos of me and my Polish friend playing Roblox and free games because his PC, his graphics card exploded. So yeah, a lot of it's like us playing basically games that he wouldn't be able to run anyway. So yeah, it's a lot of stupid content. But yeah.
That sounds like fun.
That you had me on. It was really fun to be on. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to just talk about one of my favorite games.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, genuinely. You've been a great guest, and I appreciate like your input and your experience and hearing your perspective on these games and this game in general, or more specifically. Yeah, it's been a good time. I would be happy to have you back on another episode, whether it's Metal Gear or some other favorite game of yours. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. Go check out his YouTube, guys, in NJB Productions.
Yep, exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah.
NJB Productions on YouTube. I'm going to go check it out after this episode. And I usually do a riddle every week, but last week I did the riddle and it was supposed to be Sonic Adventure this week, but I had to squeeze this episode in. So yeah, Sonic Adventure for next week, guys. If you like Sonic games, and you want to hear more about or Sonic Adventure specifically, we're going to be doing that episode, and it should release the Saturday after this episode releases. So yeah, thanks again, man.
No worries. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, folks, that's game over for this episode of Retro Reloaded. Thanks for joining me on this retro adventure. If you loved today's trip down memory lane, then consider helping me keep the nostalgia alive by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/retro-reloaded. You'll get early episodes, bonus content, and a chance to pick the next game that we reload. Feel free to let me know your thoughts about the podcast, and until next time, keep those controllers charged.